Global warming has been a major issue for many nations, with many actions and regulations geared towards curbing it. But have recent efforts been enough? Apparently not, as a new federal report warns of accelerating impacts from sea level rising. Keep watching until the end of this video as we take a look at NASA warns rising sea levels will swamp the US by 2050. The revelations are truly a cause for concern. Global warming. Regardless of what some skeptics may believe, the Earth has significantly been warming up, and humans are at least partly to blame. Global warming is the long-term warming of the planet's overall temperature, and this warming trend has been going on for quite some time. Its pace, however, has significantly been increased in the last 100 years, primarily due to something human civilization has been reliant on since the Industrial Revolution: the burning of fossil fuels. As our population has gone up, so has the volume of fossil fuels being burned. This includes coal, oil, and natural gas, which power many of man's modern machines, and burning these materials has in turn caused what has been known as the greenhouse effect in Earth's atmosphere. The greenhouse effect occurs when the sun's rays penetrate the atmosphere, but the heat reflected off the planet's surface cannot escape back into space. This is due to the fact that gases produced by burning fossil fuels prevent the heat from leaving the atmosphere. Gases and other air pollutants collect in the Earth's atmosphere, absorbing sunlight and solar radiation that have been bounced off the Earth's surface, trapping the heat and causing the planet to get hotter in the process. Greenhouse gases are mostly carbon dioxide, chlorofluorocarbons, methane, water vapor, and nitrous oxide, with these being much of the emissions from burning fossil fuels that end up in the planet's atmosphere. This excess heat in the atmosphere has caused the average global temperature to rise over time, which in turn is known as global warming. Since the Industrial Revolution, the global annual temperature has increased in total by a little more than 1 degree Celsius, or about 2 degrees Fahrenheit. Between 1880 and 1980, recorded temperatures rose on average by 0.07 degrees Celsius, or 0.13 degrees Fahrenheit, every 10 years. However, since 1981 and the advent of more modern machines and the sudden boost in global population, the rate of increase has more than doubled. For the last 4 decades, we've observed a rise in global annual temperature by 0.18 degrees Celsius, or 0.32 degrees Fahrenheit per decade, reflecting a significant and rather concerning rise. When sea levels rise as rapidly as they have been, even a slight increase can have devastating effects on coastal communities and much more for habitats farther inland, as it can cause destructive erosion, wetland flooding, aquifer and agricultural soil contamination with salt, as well as lost habitat for fish, birds, and plants. Higher sea levels also coincide with more dangerous hurricanes and typhoons that move more slowly and drop more rainwater, contributing to more powerful storm surges that have the capacity to strip away everything in their path. These situations have already forced people to migrate to higher ground, with millions more still vulnerable from flood risk and other climate change effects. And while natural cycles and fluctuations have caused the Earth's climate to change several times over the last 800,000 years, our current era of global warming is directly attributed to human activity, specifically to our burning of fossil fuels. And while deniers have argued that there has been a pause in rising global temperatures as of late, numerous studies have disproved these claims, proving that global warming and its impacts are a cause for harm around the world. Global warming has led to several issues, including climate change, which refer to changes in weather patterns and growing seasons around the world. Global warming has also led to sea level rise, caused by the expansion of warmer seas and melting ice sheets and glaciers. This change in our climate and rising sea levels now poses a threat to life on Earth due to widespread flooding and extreme weather. And as scientists continue to study global warming and its impact on Earth, governments have been aggressively changing their policies in order to counter this growing threat. A recent NASA study has provided a grim peek into the future, showing that rising sea levels could exceed estimates for U.S. coasts, and that in the next few decades could lead to increased storm and tidal flooding for millions of Americans in coastal communities. According to NASA's Sea Level Change team, who analyzed nearly 3 decades of satellite observations, have found new results that show average sea level rise approaching the 1-foot mark for most coastlines of the contiguous United States by 2050, leading to a significant change in the Gulf Coast and the Southeast regions. By 2050, sea levels along the coastal United States could experience a rise as much as 12 inches above today's waterline, which would lead to an increase in both catastrophic and nuisance flooding in the coming years for coastal communities. These new findings, released in an interagency report in February 2022, developed by a number of federal agencies including NASA, the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, NOAA, and the U.S. Geological Survey, reveals a significant sea level rise over the next 30 years, which is now cause for great concern. The projections detailed in the report expect 10 to 14 inches of rise on average for the East Coast, 14 to 18 inches for the Gulf Coast, and 4 to 8 inches for the West Coast. Using numerous satellites over a course of 28 years, the team led by scientists at NASA's Jet Propulsion Laboratory in Southern California used satellite altimeter measurements of sea surface height and ocean height measurements, and correlated them with NOAA's tide gauge records from as far back as the 1920s. This allowed them to provide a consistent record to compare surrounding water levels with satellite observations, which showed that the rate of acceleration of sea level rise is indeed in the much higher range of estimates for all regions. The collated data has also revealed the most vulnerable populations that live on the east and Gulf coasts, where damaging flooding is predicted to occur 10 times more often in 2050 than it does today. Keep in mind that no other kind of natural disaster in America has caused more death and destruction than floods. It's also important to note that trends of sea level rise along the U.S. southeast and Gulf coasts are significantly higher than the northeast and western coasts, due to uncertain factors such as storms and other climate variability, as well as the shifting and sinking of the Earth's surface. More flooding. The Global and Regional Sea Level Rise Scenarios for the United States report is an update to a federal report forecast done in 2017, which offers near-term projections for the next 30 years. Agencies at the federal, state, and local levels use these reports to update their plans to anticipate and cope with the effects of sea level rise. Many now consider these global warming efforts to be commonplace, but this should not be so. Coastal flooding will continue to significantly rise over the next 30 years if action cannot be sustained to counter it. Coastal cities like Miami already experience high tide flooding, causing severe damage to property and activity. This report projects an uptick in the frequency and intensity of such flooding events in the coming decades due to the rising seas. There are also other factors that may contribute to rising sea levels and, in effect, more flooding along the U.S. coastline. Natural variabilities on Earth may also amplify rising sea levels, such as the effects of El Niño and La Niña by the mid-2030s, with every U.S. coast set to encounter more intense high-tide floods due to a wobble in the Moon's orbit that occurs every 18.6 years. This lunar cycle, in combination with rising sea levels, is projected to worsen the impacts of high-tide flooding in the 2030s and 40s. El Niño is the warming of surface temperatures in the Pacific Ocean near South America, which increases rainfall. And La Niña, the cooling of surface ocean waters in the Pacific, are both setbacks to the accurate forecasting of rising sea levels. A keen focus. As information on these growing threats to life and human activity continue to be revealed, these high-impact researches continue to compel decision-makers to focus on addressing the ongoing climate crisis and encourage the public to demand for more effective measures. Coastal communities have continuously discussed these issues to move towards action that can respond to these immediate concerns. The challenge of mitigating and stabilizing global temperatures to slow sea level rise currently remains a top priority for all of humanity. NASA's sea level researchers continue to keep an eye up in space through launching satellites that contribute data to the long global record of sea surface height to understand the causes of sea level change globally and regionally. So what do you think about the threat of rising sea levels? What can we do to address the root causes and protect our communities? How can we work together to mitigate the impacts of this crisis? Let us know in the comments below. Space Infinity will continue to deliver the latest news on the universe and all its new discoveries. So tap that like button and subscribe. We'll see you in the next one.